Picture this. While everyone else is desperately seeking validation through social media likes and crowded gatherings, there's a rare breed of man who finds profound peace in his own company. He's not antisocial, he's not broken, and he certainly isn't lonely in the traditional sense. He's a Sigma male, and his solitude isn't a punishment, it's his greatest weapon. If you've ever wondered why the most intriguing, self-reliant men seem to walk through life alone, you're about to discover a truth that society desperately tries to hide. The Sigma male's isolation isn't accidental. It's calculated, purposeful, and absolutely necessary for his evolution into something extraordinary. Today, we're diving deep into the complex psychology behind why Sigma males find themselves alone, not as victims of circumstance, but as architects of their own destiny. This isn't about loneliness. This is about the conscious choice to prioritize authenticity over approval, depth over superficiality, and personal growth over social conformity. Before we unlock these secrets, make sure to subscribe to Official Sigma Male, because understanding the Sigma mindset isn't just about knowledge, it's about recognizing your own potential for greatness and learning to harness the power of strategic solitude. 1. The strategic solitude. The first truth you must understand about Sigma males is this: their solitude isn't accidental. It's strategic warfare against mediocrity. While the masses scramble for attention and validation like starving animals fighting over scraps, the Sigma male has discovered something far more valuable: the profound power of intentional isolation. Think of a master chess player studying the board in complete silence. Every move is calculated, every decision deliberate. This is how a Sigma male approaches his solitude. It's not about running away from people, it's about creating the perfect environment for mental clarity, strategic thinking, and personal evolution. Consider the story of Marcus, a 32-year-old entrepreneur who shocked his colleagues by declining every after-work invitation, every weekend gathering, every networking opportunity. While they labeled him antisocial, Marcus was using those hours to build 3 successful online businesses, master 2 new languages, and develop a physical fitness routine that transformed him into the most confident version of himself. 5 years later, while his former colleagues were still complaining about their dead-end jobs over expensive drinks, Marcus had achieved financial freedom and genuine fulfillment. The strategic solitude of a Sigma male serves multiple purposes. First, it eliminates the energy drain of superficial social interactions. Every minute spent in meaningless small talk is a minute stolen from personal development. Second, it provides the mental space necessary for deep thinking and creative problem-solving. Innovation doesn't happen in crowded rooms filled with groupthink. It happens in the quiet moments when a focused mind can explore possibilities without interference. Third, strategic solitude acts as a natural filter for relationships. When you're comfortable being alone, you become incredibly selective about who gets access to your time and energy. This isn't arrogance, it's wisdom. A Sigma male understands that his presence is valuable, and he doesn't cheapen it by spreading it thin across dozens of casual acquaintanceships. The modern world is designed to make you afraid of being alone with your thoughts. Social media, endless entertainment, and a culture that equates busyness with importance all conspire to keep you distracted from your inner voice. But the Sigma male recognizes this trap and consciously chooses to step outside of it. In this strategic solitude, he develops something that most men never achieve: an unshakable sense of self. He knows who he is, what he wants, and where he's going, because he's taken the time to think deeply about these questions without the influence of others' opinions and expectations. This doesn't mean the Sigma male is a hermit or completely antisocial. He simply understands that quality relationships require quality individuals, and becoming a quality individual requires spending significant time in personal development, which happens best in solitude. Society's misunderstanding of independence. Society operates on a fundamental lie that human worth is measured by social connectivity and group acceptance. This collective delusion creates a hostile environment for anyone who dares to value independence over inclusion, and Sigma males bear the brunt of this misunderstanding every single day. From childhood, we're taught that the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. The education system rewards conformity, the workplace promotes team players, and social circles celebrate those who blend in seamlessly. But what happens to the individual who sees through this charade? What happens to the man who recognizes that true strength comes from within, not from group validation? He becomes misunderstood, mischaracterized, and ultimately isolated. Take the example of David, a brilliant software engineer who consistently delivered exceptional work but rarely participated in office social events. His managers labeled him not a cultural fit, despite his superior performance. His colleagues whispered that he was weird or antisocial because he preferred solving complex problems to discussing weekend plans. Eventually, David left to start his own consulting firm, where his independence became his greatest asset rather than his biggest liability. Society's misunderstanding of independence manifests in several destructive ways. First, there's the assumption that anyone who chooses solitude must be damaged or deficient somehow. Friends and family members constantly try to fix the Sigma male by dragging him to social events, setting him up on dates, or encouraging him to put himself out there, as if his natural inclination toward independence is a disease that needs curing. Second, there's the professional prejudice against independent thinkers. Corporate culture rewards those who play politics, attend every meeting, and contribute to the endless cycle of collaborative mediocrity. The Sigma male's preference for working alone, his direct communication style, and his resistance to office politics make him a target for managers who mistake conformity for competence. Third, there's the social media echo chamber that reinforces the idea that popularity equals value. In a world where people measure their worth by likes, follows, and public displays of social activity, the Sigma male's private lifestyle appears suspicious or inadequate. He's not posting pictures of group outings because he's not attending them. He's not broadcasting his achievements because he doesn't need external validation to confirm his success. This societal pressure creates a vicious cycle. The more a Sigma male resists conformity, the more he's pushed to the margins. The more he's pushed to the margins, the more he relies on his independence. The more he relies on his independence, the more society views him as an outsider. It's a self-perpetuating system that ensures independent men remain isolated from mainstream social structures. But here's the crucial insight. This misunderstanding isn't a bug in the system. It's a feature. Society's inability to comprehend true independence serves as a natural sorting mechanism, separating those who are genuinely self-reliant from those who merely pretend to be. The Sigma male's isolation isn't a punishment for his independence. It's proof of its authenticity. The irony is that while society fears and misunderstands independent men, it desperately needs them. Every major innovation, every breakthrough idea, every revolutionary change has come from individuals who were willing to think and act independently, regardless of social approval. Society benefits from Sigma males while simultaneously rejecting them, a contradiction that reveals the deep insecurity at the heart of collective thinking. The paradox of magnetic isolation. Here's where the Sigma male's story takes a fascinating turn. The very solitude that keeps him apart from others also makes him irresistibly attractive to those who encounter him. It's one of life's greatest paradoxes. The less available you are, the more valuable you become. Think about it from a psychological perspective. In the world where everyone is desperately seeking attention, constantly available, and eager to please, the man who is comfortable in his own company becomes a rare and intriguing specimen. His indifference to social validation creates a magnetic pull that draws people toward him, even as his boundaries keep them at a respectful distance. Consider the story of Alexander, a fitness trainer who built a waiting list of clients not through aggressive marketing or social media campaigns, but by consistently demonstrating excellence while maintaining strict boundaries. He didn't accept every client who approached him. He didn't work weekends or evenings. He didn't compromise his standards to accommodate difficult personalities. This scarcity and selectivity made him the most sought-after trainer in his city, despite, or perhaps because of, his limited availability. This magnetic isolation operates on multiple levels. First, there's the mystery factor. When someone isn't constantly broadcasting their life on social media, sharing every thought and experience, they become enigmatic. People are naturally curious about what lies beneath the surface of someone who maintains privacy and discretion. The Sigma male's reluctance to overshare creates intrigue that oversharing could never achieve. Second, there's the competence attraction. Sigma males typically use their solitude productively, developing skills, building businesses, improving their physical fitness, or pursuing meaningful hobbies. This personal development makes them more interesting and capable than their constantly socializing counterparts. When people do encounter a Sigma male, they're often impressed by his depth of knowledge, his unique perspectives, and his obvious competence in various areas. Third, there's the confidence factor. A man who is genuinely comfortable being alone radiates a different kind of confidence than someone who needs constant social reinforcement. This inner security is deeply attractive because it suggests emotional stability and self-awareness, qualities that are increasingly rare in our anxiety-ridden, validation-seeking culture. However, this magnetic quality creates its own set of challenges for the Sigma male. People are drawn to him precisely because he seems unavailable and independent, but many of them want to capture him, to make him more accessible and available. This desire to tame the independent man often leads to conflicts and misunderstandings. Women, in particular, may be initially attracted to his mysterious independence, but later become frustrated when he doesn't transform into a more traditionally available partner. Friends may appreciate his unique insights and perspectives, but grow resentful when he continues to maintain boundaries and prioritize his personal time. The paradox deepens when you consider that the qualities that make the Sigma male attractive, his independence, his standards, his selective availability, are the same qualities that ultimately keep him isolated. He attracts people who are intrigued by his self-sufficiency, but maintaining that self-sufficiency requires him to resist the very connections that his attractive qualities generate. This creates a constant tension in the Sigma male's life. He's not trying to be mysterious or unavailable for effect. These are natural byproducts of his authentic lifestyle. Yet the more authentic he remains, the more he attracts people who want to change that authenticity. It's a cosmic joke that the man who least seeks attention often receives the most, while the man who most values solitude finds himself constantly fielding social invitations and relationship opportunities. 4. When self-sufficiency becomes a barrier. The Sigma male's greatest strength can also become his most isolating weakness. Self-sufficiency, when developed to its logical extreme, creates invisible barriers that prevent meaningful connections from forming, even when the Sigma male genuinely desires them. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a fortress built so perfectly that it not only keeps enemies out, but also makes it nearly impossible for allies to enter. This is the unintended consequence of extreme self-reliance. The same mental and emotional walls that protect the Sigma male from toxic relationships, energy vampires, and superficial connections also shield him from potentially meaningful bonds. Consider James, a successful architect who spent 15 years building his ideal life: financial independence, physical fitness, intellectual pursuits, and complete emotional self-sufficiency. He owned his home outright, had multiple income streams, maintained his own car, cooked his own meals, and handled every aspect of his life without depending on anyone else. By objective measures, he had achieved something remarkable. Yet at 38, he found himself profoundly alone, not by choice, but because his self-sufficiency had become so complete that others felt unnecessary around him. The problem isn't the self-sufficiency itself, it's the message it sends to potential partners and friends. When you can handle everything in your life independently, others begin to wonder where they fit in. They question whether you actually need them for anything beyond casual companionship, and many people require a sense of being needed to feel valuable in a relationship. This barrier manifests in several ways. First, there's the practical independence that eliminates natural connection points. When you don't need help moving, don't need career advice, don't need emotional support during difficult times, and don't need financial assistance, you miss out on the vulnerability-based bonding that strengthens relationships. People connect through mutual assistance and shared struggles, but the ultra-self-sufficient Sigma male has systematically eliminated these opportunities. Second, there's the emotional fortification that can appear as coldness or indifference. The Sigma male has trained himself not to need emotional validation from others, which is psychologically healthy but socially isolating. When someone shares their problems and receives a calm, logical response instead of emotional resonance, they feel disconnected. When someone offers support and is politely declined, they feel rejected. Third, there's the competence intimidation factor. A man who has developed multiple skills, maintains excellent physical condition, manages his finances expertly, and handles life's challenges with apparent ease can be intimidating to others. They may feel inadequate in comparison or worry that they can't contribute anything of value to his already optimized existence. The tragic irony is that many Sigma males develop extreme self-sufficiency as a response to past disappointments or betrayals, seeking to protect themselves from future pain. But in building these protective barriers, they also block out the very connections that could bring meaning and joy to their lives. This doesn't mean self-sufficiency is wrong, or that Sigma males should abandon their independence. Rather, it highlights the importance of strategic vulnerability, the conscious choice to create space for others to contribute value to your life, even when you don't strictly need their contribution. The challenge for the mature Sigma male is learning to modulate his self-sufficiency without compromising his core independence. This might mean asking for help occasionally, even when he could handle something alone. It might mean sharing struggles and uncertainties instead of always presenting a composed exterior. It might mean explicitly communicating to others how they add value to his life beyond what he could provide for himself. The goal isn't to become dependent or needy, qualities that would betray his authentic nature. Instead, it's about recognizing that human connection often requires some degree of interdependence, and that creating space for others to contribute to his life can enhance rather than diminish his independence. The price of authentic living. Every Sigma male who has chosen the path of authenticity over acceptance knows there's a price to pay. Living according to your own values, standards, and vision rather than society's expectations is one of the most courageous acts a man can perform, and one of the loneliest. The price begins early and compounds over time. In school, the authentic boy who refuses to join cliques or engage in groupthink finds himself eating lunch alone. In college, the young man who prioritizes his studies and personal development over party culture discovers that weekend invitations stop coming. In his career, the professional who won't compromise his values for advancement watches less principled colleagues climb the corporate ladder while he maintains his integrity in relative isolation. But the real cost of authentic living isn't just social isolation. It's the constant internal pressure to conform, to take the easier path, to join the crowd and enjoy the warmth of belonging. Every day, the authentic Sigma male faces a choice: maintain his standards and remain alone, or lower his standards and gain acceptance. The strength required to consistently choose authenticity over approval cannot be overstated. Let's examine the story of Robert, a talented musician who refused to compromise his artistic vision for commercial success. While his contemporaries modified their sound to match radio-friendly trends, Robert continued creating the complex, emotionally honest music that reflected his authentic self. For years, he played to small audiences in underground venues while watching inferior but more commercially viable artists achieve mainstream success. The isolation was profound, not just professionally, but personally, as friends and family questioned his choices and suggested he be more realistic. The psychological toll of authentic living is immense. There's the constant self-doubt. Am I wrong to maintain these standards? Would life be easier if I just went along with everyone else? There's the FOMO, fear of missing out, that strikes when you see others enjoying the social benefits of conformity. There's the pressure from well-meaning friends and family who genuinely believe you'd be happier if you just loosened up and gave people a chance. Perhaps most challenging is the way authentic living forces you to confront the gap between your ideals and reality. When you refuse to settle for mediocre relationships, you spend long periods alone. When you won't accept meaningless work, you may struggle financially while pursuing your true calling. When you maintain high standards for friendship, you discover how rare genuine connection really is. The authentic Sigma male also pays a social cost in terms of missed opportunities. Networking events, casual social gatherings, and group activities often lead to professional opportunities, romantic connections, and friendship development. By choosing to avoid these superficial interactions, the Sigma male may miss out on connections that could have developed into something meaningful. There's also the burden of being misunderstood. Authentic people are often seen as arrogant, antisocial, or overly picky by those who don't understand the internal consistency that drives their choices. The Sigma male's refusal to engage in small talk isn't rudeness. It's a recognition that shallow conversation drains his energy and prevents deeper connection. His selectivity in relationships isn't elitism, it's wisdom gained through experience about what types of connections truly enrich his life. Yet here's the paradox. Despite all these costs, most authentic Sigma males wouldn't choose to live any other way. They understand that the pain of isolation is temporary and manageable, while the pain of betraying your authentic self is permanent and soul-crushing. They've learned that it's better to be alone and true to yourself than surrounded by people while living as someone you're not. The price of authentic living is steep, but it purchases something invaluable: the knowledge that you're living your own life rather than performing someone else's version of what your life should be. For the Sigma male, this authenticity isn't just a lifestyle choice. It's a non-negotiable requirement for self-respect and personal fulfillment. Embracing solitude as strength. The final truth every Sigma male must understand is this: solitude isn't something to be endured or overcome. It's a superpower to be cultivated and weaponized for personal transformation. The moment you stop seeing alone time as a problem to be solved and start recognizing it as your greatest asset, everything changes. Most people fear solitude because it forces them to confront who they really are beneath all the social masks and external distractions. They fill every moment with noise, activity, and social interaction because silence reveals uncomfortable truths about their lack of self-development, unclear goals, and dependence on others for validation. But the Sigma male who has learned to embrace solitude has discovered the secret of unlimited personal power. In solitude, you have complete control over your environment, your thoughts, and your energy allocation. There's no one to impress, no social dynamics to navigate, no compromises to make. This freedom allows for deep work, creative thinking, and strategic planning that's impossible in social settings. While others are engaged in the exhausting dance of social interaction, you're building empires in your mind and turning those visions into reality. Consider the transformation of Michael, a software developer who initially struggled with loneliness after a difficult divorce. Instead of immediately jumping back into the dating scene or filling his calendar with social activities, he embraced his solitude completely. He used his alone time to learn new programming languages, start a side business, improve his physical fitness, and explore philosophical and spiritual texts. 2 years later, he had doubled his income, achieved the best physical condition of his life, and developed a level of inner peace that made him magnetic to high-quality people who were drawn to his obvious personal growth. Embracing solitude as strength requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Instead of asking, "Why am I alone?" start asking, "How can I use this solitude to become the man I want to be?" Instead of focusing on what you're missing by not being social, focus on what you're gaining through focused personal development. The practical applications of this mindset are transformative. Your alone time becomes sacred space for activities that compound over time. Reading books that expand your knowledge, developing skills that increase your value, exercising to improve your physical capabilities, meditating to strengthen your mental discipline, and planning to clarify your long-term vision. The Sigma male who has mastered solitude develops several key advantages over his socially dependent counterparts. First, he becomes emotionally anti-fragile. Setbacks, rejections, and disappointments don't devastate him because his sense of worth comes from within rather than from external validation. Second, he develops superior decision-making abilities because he's not influenced by groupthink or peer pressure. Third, he achieves higher levels of productivity and creativity because his energy isn't dispersed across multiple social obligations. Perhaps most importantly, the Sigma male who has embraced solitude as strength develops what philosophers call ataraxia, a state of serene calmness that comes from being completely comfortable with yourself and your choices. This inner peace becomes the foundation for everything else in your life. Relationships improve because you're not needy or desperate for connection. Career advancement accelerates because you're not distracted by office politics and social drama. Personal growth explodes because you have the time and mental clarity to pursue your highest potential. The irony is that when you truly embrace solitude as strength, you become less alone. People are naturally drawn to individuals who are comfortable in their own skin, who have developed interesting perspectives through deep thinking, and who radiate the calm confidence that comes from self-knowledge. But now these connections come from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. You're choosing to engage with others because you want to, not because you need to. This is the ultimate paradox of the Sigma male journey. By fully accepting and embracing your solitude, you transcend it. You discover that being alone was never the problem. Being uncomfortable with yourself was the problem. Once you solve that internal equation, everything else falls into place. The solitude of a Sigma male isn't a flaw to be fixed. It's a feature to be celebrated. Throughout these 6 chapters, we've explored how strategic isolation becomes the foundation for authentic living, how society's misunderstanding creates natural barriers, and why the most powerful men often walk alone. Remember, being alone and being lonely are 2 completely different experiences. A Sigma male chooses solitude because he understands that true strength comes from within, that genuine connections are rare and valuable, and that his mission in life requires the clarity that only comes from stepping away from the noise. Your solitude isn't emptiness, it's space for greatness to grow. It's time to embrace it, understand it, and use it as the powerful tool it was always meant to be. If this resonates with your experience and you're ready to dive deeper into the Sigma mindset, subscribe to Official Sigma Male. We're building a community of men who understand that walking alone sometimes means you're heading in the right direction. And that's exactly where you need to be.